Hi everyone, this is Daisy, aka Professional High Priestess, and I'm here to drop a channeling regarding magic and mental health, okay? So we're gonna talk about this in three categories. We're gonna talk about what drives individuals to do negative magic, right? What are the underlying like mental health issues, etc., that create that? Then we're going to talk about how magic can actually impact your mental health and what are the signs that you should be looking for that differentiate between just like a regular, like, you're having mental health problems or seasonal depression or food allergies or trauma versus magic being done on you. And then we're going to talk about how you can use magic to heal your mental health, okay? So first and foremost, when we're talking about individuals who, they fall into the pitfalls of thinking that they can go ahead and do magic on other people and they can escape the consequences, you have to understand that these people are severely mentally ill. And a lot of the times they're bringing that mental illness from past lives, which is why they feel like they can even do what they're doing in the first place. These individuals have something that we call narcissism, okay? And a lot of the times when it's overt narcissism, which we talked about in the narcissistic brew, it's literally like they feel like they have all power and all control over other people and that they're untouchable and invincible because they have some type of form of sociopathy as well as psychosis. Because out of the four signs of psychosis being delusions of grandeur, delusions of reference, delusions of persecution, and then there's one last one that I'm gonna find out. The delusions of grandeur is the one that they usually act out of, okay? So that's what you have to understand when you're dealing with individuals who are, they do magic on you. So another one is when we're talking about covert narcissists, who basically like they're always a victim and what was me and that type of thing. They've fallen into the pitfall of literally like being the victim of the earth. They're the biggest victim. This has happened to me. That person did that. And not to say that they've not been traumatized or hurt or harmed. No, they definitely have probably been, experienced transgressions, betrayal, etc. But because these individuals were already lacking in their willpower and already lacking in their self-confidence, and already kind of lacking in their connection to their own humanity, they think that it's okay. They justify what happened to them from other people to do magic, negative magic on you, okay? So you have to understand that these individuals, they're not living in reality. And another thing too, when they start to get into these different like ritual systems and they get initiated and a lot of the times what they do is they let go of a part of their spirit to allow that entity to take control over them, right? Because a lot of the times their spiritual gifts and the powers that they're, tapping into, it's not specifically theirs. It belongs to the entity that they consecrated themselves to during the ritual. So that entity, who God only knows from what planet that entity comes from and what they demand in order for them to give them their gifts. Think about American Horror Story, right? Madame Laveau, Marie Laveau, and she was sharing her story about how she called on Baba Legba to give her powers and things like that. And Baba Legba, when he came to, it was time to pay the piper, Baba Legba was like, I want your son. And she was like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, there's always something that you have to give up in order to access those powers. So those individuals who, they've gotten into those systems and initiations and rituals and shit like that, which I really don't recommend. I recommend that you work with the ancestors, guides, angels, and ascended masters, right? What ends up happening is you cultivate an even deeper mental illness because, half of your spirit is now gone and trapped away. And now the darker aspect of you gets even more activated for that entity to kind of hijack your consciousness to do the bidding that you wanted to do. Okay. So really it's super cut and dry. People are looking for some type of formula. Why is this person doing this? That's literally it. And then couple that with jealousy, unresolved trauma, feelings of lack and insecurity, and then you have a perfect cocktail for an individual that's just going to do magic on you for as long as they can until they literally die, right? Until they get into that Ten of Swords energy. And for some of these karmic individuals who have been doing that, that's literally what they're going to be facing, right? A lot of them face health issues, mental health issues, financial issues. And instead of them to realize, okay, maybe I should stop doing this magic and these different rituals and stuff like that, they just get deeper into I can have control and power, or, what was me? I'm a victim, so I'm going to do even more. They're already living out their karma. Their lives are already a mess. They already hate themselves. So it's like, might as well just make someone else's life miserable, right? Because, misery loves company. That's what you guys have to understand. So anyways, now, dealing with these individuals, honestly, the only thing that you can do is just continue to block and clear and banish and mirror back to them their magic. Something that's going to end up happening too, though, for these individuals, the more that they keep on throwing it at you and that you block it and resist it, the stronger that you get. You know, so eventually, you know, the minute that they throw out the magic, is just going to boomerang right back. Especially if you're you know, working with your sigils and your mirror magic and your violet flame, and you're doing your baths and your candle work, and you're praying to your ancestors, and you're activating the power, you know, through prayer and incantations and things like that. And then your ascended masters too that are working with you, they're going to bounce that stuff back too, you know, because when the ascended masters allow you to work with them, that's another thing. A lot of these individuals claiming like, oh, I'm working with this and that, you know, a lot of these ascended masters, before you can even work with them, you have to be in a certain vibrational frequency. You see, you have had to go through certain initiations. They don't just let anybody work with them. Like how I say, I work with King Solomon, and I have some other guys like Sekhmet, and Ma'at is one of my archetypes as well, you know, and so is Harriet Tubman. I've had to go through a certain specific rites of passage to have my frequency be in a specific, level for them to even fuck with me. Like, let's keep it hella real. And a lot of these individuals, they don't work with these ascended masters for good, so they don't deal with them. Come on now, why would Harriet Tubman come and be one of your spirit guides and your ancestors just for you to be pimping out your spiritual gifts for what? Or you're doing hella negative stuff and you think that they're gonna work with you? You know, like, just giving an example of like that. Or, you know, another thing too, ooh, let me drink my water. Another thing too, there's a process. There's a process that you go through. It's like like a job application, literally, and an interview process when you want to work with some of these ascended masters and some of these high vibrational deities, like Ganesha and Buddha and things like that, or different animal spirits. They test your spirit. They do, before they can become your guide. They test your spirit and they like, okay, you know what? You have to go through Ma'at, the scales of balance, and they weigh your heart against the feather, literally. I've seen this with my own eyes. I've seen it, and I've also seen when people they pass away and they go through the underworld and they get different deities to like help them transition through the duats, which is literally like the river. It's a very toxic river filled with like the shit of your life, and you have to like basically swim through it and get to the other side. And your ability to swim through it and get to the other side really depends on what you did in this lifetime, right? When you were alive. So, you know, these entities and these deities, the high vibrational ones, they judge you and they weigh you before they come and they can be your spirit guide and your ancestor, and then they can work with you. Yeah, literally, because they don't just fuck with anybody. So there's that. Now, I want to talk about what are some of the impacts upon your mental health when you are under magic. So one of the first things can be constant fatigue, tired all the time, irritable, that type of thing, lethargic, like you sit down to do your work or something like that and you can't do it. There's a specific entity stopping you from progressing. Literally, that's what it is. It's a procrastination entity. It gets you, oh, maybe I'll do it later. Oh, I don't feel like doing it now, that type of thing. And then from there, oh, I'm going to just quit this job or I'm going to find something else. And you make bad decisions out of that energy. Another thing too can be like constantly feeling agitated or irritated or mad, like rageful. That can be someone putting fire and heat spells on you, or the spirit of intranquility on you as well. And that spirit of intranquility literally is like an entity that follows you around just to agitate you and be in your energy field. And the way that it also works too is it attracts karmic individuals, usually 12th house enemies, 6th house enemies, and then people who have the Saturn synastry with you as well. So check your chart, because if you're attracting the same type of people, there's like, oh, okay, this is why I'm doing that. This is why this is happening. It's an energy on me. Another one can be like sorrow, like heartbroken. That's like the prohibited love type of spell, where someone has literally put like a binding spell around your heart center and heart chakra. Because in the Egyptian, magic practice, the stronger your heart and the more pure your heart, the more powerful your magic. That's why a lot of people, they feel like, oh, I'm just going to go to the dark side or get initiated. Yeah, you can play with that dark magic, but at the end of the day, remember, you still have to go to the underworld like everyone else. And those different entities and deities, they're not going to be there to help you get through there. That's another thing that people fail to realize. So then that karma that you cannot transcend by going through the duat, your lineage is going to have to experience that, your descendants. So let's say, okay, what if they don't have any descendants? You get trapped in the underworld. You get trapped in the lower planes of existence. until you do the work and try to get an opportunity to be a human again, and you probably reincarnate in a very low state. And who knows if you'll be able to, make it up and climb to the higher vibrational state and finally ascend. That's why, for a lot of people, and they do these different things, it's like I said, it's a mental illness because they're not thinking long term. Because anybody who had sense and thought long term, they would never get themselves involved in anything like that. But remember, these people, they get deluded by the different initiations and the different deities and sacrifices and ritual offerings that they give, and they feel like, I'm untouchable, I'm invincible. No, you're not. All you did was just cut out a part of your brain and give it to an entity and deity to take control over you. You're still getting karma. And then even some of these entities and these deities that they try to, come and send out to attack you, some of these entities and deities, they are actually subjugated to your spirit guides and your ancestors. So when they come to try to attack you, your spirit guides and your ancestors are like, hold on, who sent you? Because this is my grandbaby, or this is my my niece, or that's my nephew, that's sis, that's brother. So who sent you to come and attack? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, boss. These people sent me. Nah, return to sender. Go back to your people, tell them to get their shit together. You see? So then when it goes back over there to the individual that was sending it to you, and that entity and deity eats their ass alive, they're even more mad. Because now what they sent for you is now eating them. That's why you always got to be careful what you send out to other people. Always. Be careful with the bed you try to make for others, because that may be the bed you got to lie in for yourself. So if you're trying to, you want someone to catch an illness, or you want someone to be in poverty, that's what you're going to have. And for those of you who be like, that's what they did to me, and it's not happening for them yet. They're suffering in terms of spiritual poverty. You don't know what type of karma they're experiencing. It's happening. You just may not know. Their children could be suffering. And then these people that, especially they have children and they act out of that mental illness, imagine the suffering that their children are going to have and the type of karmic debts their children now have because they have a stupid ass parent who just couldn't control themselves because they wanted to be wild, wild, wild. Okay. Like my sisters from New Orleans would say, anyway, now, how can you use magic to heal your mental health? Perfect. Through the understanding of color therapy and chakras, right? You can actually utilize magic to, first of all, cleanse your energy field and any type of debris or rips or tears or holes in the aura created by trauma. Because when you go through specific types of trauma, your body, your astral body shifts in and out of your auric field very quickly, right? Because it's like a near-death experience to you. So what ends up happening is you develop rips and tears in your aura that allow specific entities and experiences to easily seep in. You can use magic, of course, to clear and cleanse your aura so that you're not susceptible to these specific experiences that are going to reproduce specific type of emotions and experiences that your ancestors most likely went through. Because you have to understand a lot of the reasons why we have intergenerational trauma and certain behaviors and experiences get passed down through a whole entire family lineage is because it's a type of magic, whether it be word magic and you believe in this thought, and actual magic or roots or something buried, etc., or a curse on your lineage. It's magic still, right? So looking at also doing DNA clearing and activation, because some of that magic is from past lives. And if you can clear that and you can raise your vibrational frequency, that magic can't hit you anymore and that curse can't work anymore. Some of you too got to be careful what you eat, because if you're eating specific type of foods, especially low vibrational foods that lower your energy, right, make you lethargic and tired all the time, that's just going to only exacerbate the magic, especially a lot of meat, heavy meat foods, because meat is karmic. Let's just keep it hella real, because that animal was killed. That's why the less meat that you eat, the better. But also too, the sugar, because sugar literally is like activates the same parts of the brain as cocaine. Yeah. So that's something that you should think about too. Also what you're eating, because some of y'all may think that, oh, I'm under magic, but it's just the food that you're eating, or you're already fighting off a spell or something and it gets worse because of the food that you ate. Because you can also put spells on somebody. Let's say, for instance, you've been eating a lot, craving a lot of heavy foods, sugary foods, a lot of bread, yeasty foods. That's a magic, because what it's trying to do is to get you to eat food to grow what? More candida, more yeast, more parasites in the body. Tapeworm, that's what this reminds me of in this person's head. And those parasites actually, that's the magic right there, because the parasites actually release a specific type of chemical, hormone, and enzymes that impact your mental health. Yeah, those entities and parasites on themselves, those come from different dimensions too. So another way too that you can use a magic to heal yourself is, like, for instance, if you have something with eating and you're an emotional eater, but the food that you eat makes you even more sad, willpower oil. Rub that on your stomach, your gut area, your solar plexus, basically, so that it will kind of like help you restrict how much you're eating. And also, when you go to eat something like that, you know, is bad for you, something will kick in like, I have something in my energy where, let's say I think about eating something and my body will automatically feel the reaction of what it's going to do. And then I won't eat it. Like, that's literally a gift. It's like psychometry, but I'm a Leo. So you have to also find out like what's your gift too. Anyways, I'll talk about that later. Psychometry. But anyways, yeah, listening to that inner knowing. But you know, sometimes magic, that's one of the things that it can do too to your mental health. It can block you off. So if you feel like you can't really hear your guides, or you feel like something's like wrong or amiss, or you can't hear your intuition, that's magic too, trying to block off your crown chakra, trying to block off your intuition, trying to stop you, you know, from seeing clarity. So you can't see what the magic is doing, and so that you know, you can't get messages to fight it off, or you know, they can attack you in the dream state, that type of thing. Because karmics do that. They'll try to that's what they just did to me, angelic and them. They try to put magic on your third eye or your crown chakra, so that you can't really be awake in the dream state, so they can attack you, because they're bullies. They gang stalk, right? Another way that you can use magic to heal is, let's say, for instance, you can use spirit baths to help with your nervous system, okay? Because some of us may have dysregulated nervous systems from a lot of the trauma that we went through as children. And let's say you went through narcissistic abuse with a karmic, that dysregulates your whole entire nervous system. And that too, you guys have to understand, dealing with narcissists is a type of magic too, because they have a supernatural force for energy draining. So really working on your solar plexus chakra can help you heal from that narcissistic abuse even faster. I'm going to tell you the truth. Anytime you've ever dealt with a narcissist, you're going to need magic, period, to heal, because you dealt with a supernatural force. So you're going to need supernatural healing. Let's say you've dealt with a sex magician. You can use womb healing, womb magic, steaming with herbs, yoni pearls, yoni eggs, a moxa pot. It's called moxa. M-A-X-A, a moxa pot. It's like a hot pot, and you roll it over your womb, and it opens up and unleashes like stuck energy and entities. I'm going to tell you right now, especially for women, if you've messed with like sex magicians and karmic men and all that type of stuff, it's automatically going to fuck up your mental health, because as women, our womb is like a second brain. You have a brain in your head, right? You have a brain in your heart. You have a brain in your stomach, yes. And then you have a brain in your pussy, okay? So if you're dealing with people who have toxic energies and you put that in your womb space, it's going to cause mental health issues too, because you're allowing all that karmic energy and all that stuck energy into your space. All right. Another way that you can use magic to heal yourself first too is by putting magic to block out entities and energies that are not for you. And another thing too that you can use magic to do is like balance out karmic energies in your zodiac chart. Just get like the general zodiac oil. It's like all of 12 of the oils, and what it will do, it will if there's any imbalance in karmic energies, like 12th house or 6th house or Saturn, or there's like a position, or there's a certain planet in your chart that's overactive and causing problems, the zodiac oil will actually neutralize all of that. Yes, very powerful. Okay. So I'm putting this channeling out there so you can kind of understand the difference between certain forms of magic and mental health. And if you always feel like tired and lethargic, and even after you drink like coffee or things like that, and you don't feel good, or let's say you go to the gym and you work out a lot and you still don't feel like your mind is clear, there's like something on your crown chakra as well as your third eye. They put an entity, like a heavy entity, an entity attachment to like drain you. It's like walking around with a bag of sand. Okay, so a lot of the times it's not even like what we may think that it's our emotions, and then we start taking these pills, feeling bad and suicidal and things like that. No, it's the magic. And then if you randomly, another thing too, if you randomly feel suicidal and keep on having like images and projections of yourself, like walking into water or, you know, getting hit by a bus or something like that, that's magic. People can do that with magic. Yeah, they tried to do it to me. I already knew what it was. And the person that tried to do it to me, she did it to herself. Wow. That's why I say you got to be careful what you try to put out there for other people. Anyways, I feel like this is more than enough. We got some good information. This was exciting for me. I was happy to be able to help you all out. That's the end of our reading, y'all. So once again, watch what you do, clear up your mental health, use magic for mental health. And if you know you got mental health problems, you don't have no business tampering in magic. And that's another thing I want to leave off with. There's too many people that I see running around like, oh, I can help you with magic, or teaching people magic, and oh yeah, you can do dark magic, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're just being scared because, you know, Satan and Lucifer is the same as the Most High. Okay, yeah, we get all of that. And at the same time, no. A lot of those people are fucking misguided and they don't know what they're talking about. Stay away from them, because remember, they're bringing past life mental illness. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about, this is what I was forgetting. You have to look at the predominance of element in your chart. If you have a lot of earth element in your chart, this can make someone very rigid and stubborn as well. And it can also cause someone to be greedy, like money spells on you, right? If you're dealing with someone who has a lot of air in their chart, they're detached, they think a lot out of the mind. Remember, the mind is already diseased by nature because it's split in half. It's never going to be fully accurate because it has two sides, right? Chasing two rabbits, you won't catch either one. That's why dealing with spirit and a balanced unified consciousness, a system of unified consciousness with checks and balances, and talking about karma and things like that, ins and outs, the flows, what are the laws, that's what's going to help you. Not, oh, well, if you just sacrifice this to this deity, they'll protect you. Not at all. So, and then if you deal with someone who has a lot of water in their chart, emotional imbalance, they can be prone to doing anything. And then when they start to feel like they're a victim and getting into that mode, anything is possible. Then you're dealing with fire, hella impulsive, right? So you also have to like check the elements in these people that are talking about this stuff, their chart, and then yours as well. And then also too, another thing, if you have a lot of fire in your chart and people are doing magic on you, that's going to amplify the rage and the agitation. If you have a lot of earth in your chart and people do magic on you, that's going to amplify a lot of the lethargy and the want to overconsume and eat a lot. If you allow a lot of water in your chart, that's going to amplify the depression and the suicide ideation and codependency. A lot of air in your chart, that's going to kind of influence a lot of the procrastination and not feeling like you can work and feeling confused. So you also have to check your chart and check your element, because that will tell you exactly how that can impact you. The predominance of whatever element you have in your chart. So anyways, I'm going to leave off there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this channeling. Bye.